Hello.
Oh,
Hi,
oh, you got
everybody.
the color hat.
Yeah, I figured I should have
That's,
a propeller hat. We're going to talk
is that
about
from
planes.
Soren?
Yeah, it was from Soren.
Remember when Company Adventure opened and they had no Soren merchandise, but tons of Superstar Limo merchandise?
I love my little superstar limo that I have.
That's my final answer. So I'm sure we'll have more to talk about Superstar Limo as we head to the 20th anniversary of Disney Company Adventure in a couple months. But we're here to talk about planes. So today we got Alex.
Hello.
And what is this, your third stream of the day? Our stream queen, Rebecca Mosley.
I think so. I think this is number 3. Mando, Disney Parks, and now I'm here.
Mm. So planes. What do you got to say, Alex?
Planes is a film from DisneyToon Studios. No, I mean, I think I was impressed with Planes when it first came out. It was more than I thought it was going to be. It's still kind of a weird anomaly in that you feel like they were planning to do so much more with Planes than they did. And I think the biggest lesson Disney learned from Planes is that they just have to do something that's Cars adjacent to sell a lot of Cars merchandise, despite the fact that the Planes toys and products didn't sell particularly well on their own. I don't know if you remember that, like the reports that like Lightning McQueen action figures soared to #1 again after Planes came out, and he's not in it, but it just like reinvigorated the Cars franchise without Pixar doing a thing.
Yeah, and I think it was, the idea was right. There was Planes and Planes Fire and Rescue. Then they canceled the third one, which was going to take place in space. Then they went ahead and made Cars 3. And so it kind of, the spin-offs didn't seem as nearly as important from a consumer product standpoint when you were making a third mainline film.
Right.
Because I think the idea was, okay, we made the Cars movies. We don't want to keep doing this all the time, but it does really well from a merchandise perspective. Kind of like how the Fairies movies were there to kind of support that franchise.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I'd forgotten that I was reminded of in watching some of the old trailers was that this was a 3D release as well. So not only could you see, standard, but you also had that dimensional experience if you went to one of those theaters. And I'd forgotten that aspect of this film's release.
When you watch it on Disney Plus, you got to get that sense because it has that sort of like that opening has a little bit more dimension. I mean, it's in 2D, but you kind of get the sense that they kind of planed it a little bit. I mean,
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
They also do, just the composition of some of the shots, like when the coach is talking him through what you need to do for the flight, and like the camera's zooming through and it's like marker and like it'll like dive through the O. And like there are moments like that where you can tell that they had 3D in mind when they were composing the scenes.
Yeah, definitely.
And they got an interesting cast. Like the cast is kind of all over the place. You have
John Cryer.
Well, I don't know nobody knows the official story of what happened there, right? For those who don't, if you're confused, John Cryer from 2.5 Men was announced to be the voice of Dusty Crophopper. I think they even carted him out to the first D23 Expo.
Oh, wow. I'd forgotten that.
He had like walked on stage briefly, waved hi, said how excited he is to be voicing the plane from Planes, and then never was heard from again. And then Dane Cook was swapped out, it's weird to me that they swapped him out with Dane Cook because Dane Cook was no longer, like his relevancy was on the decline already, in terms of like he was a big hit with my generation's college crowd in terms of comedians, and then by the time I had graduated college, everyone was kind of over him. But the rest of the cast, I mean, there's Julia Louis-Dreyfus, there's John Cleese, Deepak Chopra is in it. They've got a pretty wide-ranging cast, and then of course they did pull in Pixar's good luck charm, at least at the time, John Ratzenberger, to kind of add to the fact that this is part of the world of Cars. So, I mean, the casting is interesting. What were your guys' impressions, or did you even realize who the voices were?
Okay, in the first, I think it was early in the film, we get the blimp, right? And as an ESPN radio addict over the years, immediately recognized Colin Cowherd's voice. He he has moved on to Fox Sports at this time, but back then he was in kind of the anchor of their ESPN radio lineup. So it was fun to hear him again, to be honest.
Also, probably part of the phase of his career where he was willing to do anything for Disney, and so it's funny because you get like Brent Musburger doing like the You're Looking Live bits. And then you can tell, like, there's only so much they were going to make Brent Musburger do. So then they have Colin Cowherd to do, like, the heavy lifting in terms of plot. And so...
It was really cool. I also wondered what point of, like, his personal life he was in. Because I can see where somebody, maybe if they had younger children, maybe more passionate and excited about participating in this project than I suspect Brent Musburger with children may have, been long gone. We would now be talking about maybe impressing grandchildren,
right, or great grandchildren,
right? In his situation. So yeah, that was a fun surprise for me. I'd forgotten.
That's a good segue because you're, of the three of us, the only one who has a child, and your child was into cars, I think, when this came out. But I don't remember being into planes. I assumed he would be, and I remember buying like a planes coloring book for like one of the times he came over, thinking he would be like, "Oh yeah, I want to color Dusty," and he had no interest.
No, this title didn't really connect with him. In fact, I had it on as I was watching for this rewatch, and he came into the living room a few times and made his way back out. So whereas other films I've watched, like I watched Sorcerer's Apprentice with the movie club, and he ended up, pulling up a cushion on the couch and enjoying it with me. So yeah, I don't know why this film didn't connect with him or other kids in general. I'm hard pressed to tell really what the difference is between this and like Lightning McQueen. Why this story doesn't connect in the way that Lightning did. Is it purely that the idea that most kids will, in essence, grow up and drive a car, whereas very few are going to be a pilot? It's, not part of the path of life.
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because, I mean, most preschool, particularly boys, but girls are into it too, are very into cars, trucks, fire engines, police vehicles, and planes, and trains. And trains was another spin-off that DisneyToon Studios was planning. I think when they announced planes, they had said trains was going to be next. And I think due to the lack of faith in planes after its early performance, it kind of killed all the other tangential projects from the world of cars that they were planning. But I just think it's interesting because most little kids at some point in their life are interacting with light up toy planes, trains, trucks, cars, and so you would think this would have lent itself well.
I
like how you just skirted the whole planes, trains, and automobiles reference, but then
I had to because it's not Disney.
Oh, they did that in the movie too. At the very beginning, towards the beginning of this film, there's a line that, and I meant to write it down, I forgot to, but I was going to go back and pull it up. But they, in essence, say planes, trains, and then they throw something else total, and you're just like, wait, it's right there. The joke is right there, and they moved on without cracking that joke. And I thought
it's the season to watch it. I think it's a Thanksgiving film, isn't it? Doesn't it take place over Thanksgiving?
Oh, I think you're probably right. I'll be honest. I haven't seen it. Everybody else I know has.
You must.
When the Angels were doing well and we were listening to the radio, they would go, "The Angels are knocking on first place."
Yeah. What?
It's like you have the fastball and you just turn into a knuckleball and you whiffed. I don't know
what was that. Yeah, I agree with you. Could it be as simple as he didn't have a catchphrase like "ka-chow"?
What's weird to me is the box office was there was something about the messaging of this film that, I mean, people knew not to go, and it wasn't bad, but why did this movie and its sequel? Not saying it the first one I think performed well enough to obviously to get a sequel, but compared to other Disney animated movies at the box office, it just it made 20 it didn't reach the Pixar level of things, even though maybe it was a Rotten Tomatoes thing. It was 26%.
Why?
I don't know.
I have a question though. Did it do well enough to get a sequel, or did DisneyToon Studios already have the sequel far enough in development where pulling the plug was going to be more expensive than just finishing it? Because
It's hard to say. It made $250 million worldwide.
I want to say Fire and Rescue came out like a year to the date after.
I felt like its box office number was strong enough, probably coupled with the merchandising bump that it would receive, that a sequel did not seem surprising, because it was 250 mil, right? Right, Ben? You said?
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah,
but
worldwide, and it seemed like obviously that's nowhere near the numbers that we were used to seeing with films like Cars or the Pixar franchises. So, but I figured, coupled, like I say, with the merchandising bump, that it wasn't so catastrophic that you don't go forward with your sequel. But especially if it's a year out, that means it would have been long into production already. So, yeah, it's a weird thought that I'm still surprised that these were theatrical rather than like a home release choice. But I'm very surprised by the lack of love moving forward, because it's not like there isn't a single character in this film really that I think of seeing like it moving forward. Even with other lesser known or lesser performing films, I feel like there's usually some character or role that kind of carries forward. And I like, even like Black Cauldron, Gurgi, I still, people kind of are familiar with Gurgi. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how many, maybe because it's so similar to Cars, that none of them kind of carried through. But yeah, I mean, I don't hear many people talking about Dusty Cropper.
But one thing I think of this movie that did do well was the score.
The score is amazing and so much better than the film deserves. And if anyone's watching this for some reason who hasn't seen Planes, please at least go pull up your Apple Music or Prime Music or whatever you have, and give some of the Mark Mancini score a listen, or Mancina, my apologies. Because it's fantastic. And he's done a lot of Disney work, including most recently Moana. He did the score for Tarzan, and he did the Rivers of Light music from Animal Kingdom, which, say what you want about the show, I really like the music for that too. And this music, I don't know if they have incorporated it into the Soarin' queue yet, but it needs to be in the Soarin' queue.
Also, for those of you that are familiar with Disney Parks business, he did the work for Alani, the score, sort of underscore that resort.
Oh, okay. I was going to say his music has kind of a diversity to it, for lack of a better word. It has a feel of the not American, not what I'm familiar with, like the unfamiliar. Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed that throughout this film, the way that music itself kind of transported me beyond our, Pacific to Atlantic life.
But also, did you know that if you watch basically almost any Disney film, you hear Mark Mancini's music? Because he did the
castle.
So you have to say almost any Disney film, because sometimes they omit it and score over it.
That's why I said almost.
I know. Mm-hmm. You were very smart.
Yeah.
One of your more brilliant moments.
As I was watching this film and its message of I want to do more than I was built for, I was trying to think on. I felt like that. Okay, for me, instantly I thought of the penguin that didn't want to live in the cold, right? It was like kind of that kind of tone. But I was also wondering, have there been other stories to like just specific, like a Disney story that's been really just that is at its kernel of, I want to do more than I was built for. I know princesses like Belle, right? She wants to go beyond her provincial life. But okay. Hey, it's an unknown property to me. It is a gaping hole in my Disney education. I have not seen
if you can get beyond the sort of somewhat off-putting animation style, which is more just like an illustration style. It's actually very funny.
Oh, Laughing Place brings up.
I wonder who that is.
Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Yeah,
but executed with a lot more heart. To me, the premise of Planes also feels very much like The Little Engine That Could. The whole I think I can. Because here it's a character who, like, I was made to fly, but I was made to fly low, but I could fly high, but I don't want to, or I don't feel like I can. And then he has that I think I can moment. Almost a Dumbo moment too, where he's like tricked into doing it. And then
it does get a little, the sort of in-universe logic gets a little creepy though, because he wants to do something, so he gets new parts, like a new nose, and you're like, I don't know what message this is sending. Like, yeah, you might not be born to do that, but retrofit your body, and maybe you too can compete.
Well, and this movie brings up more questions for me about how the world of Cars works, because like the Cars films, at a certain point, I have a question of like, where do baby cars come from and stuff like that. But with Planes, there's the moment where he goes to New York City, and you're just flying by like generic New York skyscrapers, and so I'm like, who is in those skyscrapers?
Cars.
They don't look carsified.
Yeah,
Lady Liberty does. I noticed that when I was.
Lady Liberty is very short.
Yeah, right.
Because they chose like the shortest profile car. I just thought that was fun. When they drove by, I'm like, what happened? Oh, I see. Because it looked like
Well, it was imported from France.
It was so funny. Well, at first I was like, is it supposed to be under development? Like this is like part of it. We have it. Nope. Then we zoom in and we see it's a short little car. The other Disney the other Disney film that this reminded me of, like way throwback, was Pedro.
The jet plane.
Pedro, the little mail plane from Saludos Amigos?
Yeah.
So some of that story kind of came to mind as I was watching this film, but I'd forgotten that the team behind it had grown up in an aviator family, and so the love and the Clay Hall, that was the name, the love for the aviation, just the way that kind of comes out in the same way that John Lasseter and team's joy in automobiles come out in Cars. I'd forgotten it was that kind of familial love.
And I remember bonus features, I think on the Blu-ray, where they show like the level of research of like all the different airplane hangars and pilots that they like sent the animators up into the air with, to make those scenes kind of come alive more and feel more realistic and believable. I think it's a shame that they did have so much passion for the subject matter, and in the end it ends up looking like all of the Cars ripoffs that populate Netflix. My favorite of which, like, the cars walk on legs for some reason. Have you seen this? They have like arms and legs that come out of like the car body, but their face is like the front of the car.
Well, that's disturbing.
It's real weird.
I'm not sure.
I mean, there, like with anything, I mean, Cars was so successful, and so I think all these other, direct-to-video animation companies were like, oh, we can slap faces on cars and make our own things. And so there's so many Cars knockoff products that I think in the end, Planes was probably viewed by the public as just another Cars knockoff product. No matter how many times you put the Cars logo in front and said it's from the world of Cars, I don't think that message really hit home in the marketing, or made people feel like this was something that was worth spending money in the theater in 3D to see.
They didn't have the same kind of
I wish.
They didn't kind of have the same kind of names, though. I mean, you talked about the cast, but the main characters in the cast weren't the same kind of US draw that you just kind of have built in with some of the names attached on Cars, right?
Sinbad.
Okay, Paul Newman. I mean, in all fairness, on the other side of the equation, in some ways, is Paul Newman, right? I mean, and Tony Shalhoub, and these were. I feel like the names that were in Cars are a more money gathering marquee, for lack of a better phrase.
I think that's fair. He
In the timeline of things, was this before or after we had the film where they race around the world?
This was after Cars 2, like, or it was released after Cars 2 at least. Timelines wise, I'm not sure.
Okay, no, I was just trying to remember release wise. I forgot for a moment where we had this because I enjoyed the nationality of flight. You know, you had the Canadian plane and the British plane and the
the international aspect of it was fun, but you're right, it is like kind of just out of Cars 2. Like, McQueen just had this worldwide journey. Let's do that with this new plane.
Well, and his mentor was actually introduced in Air Mater, one of those cartoons that they did. So this wasn't his first appearance.
Cool.
I sent you an image, Benji, of what I thought was cars with legs, but it's actually planes with legs. But I think you'll see they look like Lightning McQueen and Friends ripoffs with legs, and it's on Netflix. And like, this is just an example of the crazy stuff that has come out of like lesser quality studios in the wake of Cars. Like, this is the damage that's been done going forward.
Where does the stuff go now that there's no more direct-to-video? Where does the garbagey remakes or ripoffs go?
I know where they go. Peacock. I've seen them. I found them.
Okay,
that's a whole mess.
So did you guys enjoy or cringe at the slow jam acoustic Spanish guitar take on Love Machine?
It's weird. It's very weird. I mean, I don't mind. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of something that Pepe the Prawn would do on Muppets. Like, if Pepe the Prawn on Muppets was doing Love Machine, that would be it. This is it. So this is called Super Wings with a Z. You'll find it on Netflix if you're so inspired. But yeah, these guys are planes that run around on legs. They have arms that stick out of their sides, but they look very like the red one's Lightning McQueen with wings, right? And
yeah, totally.
Like,
oh yeah. And they look like chunky figured Transformers, so that your 4-year-old can play with it. Yeah. Very, very true.
Amy shares she's not a fan of the garbage remakes. I wonder if there's a fan site for garbage remakes of what was the one? It was like, not Frozen, but like Frigid or something.
Hace frío.
Okay, and then the other thing that caught me off guard was the humor regarding him having the duster device removed from him, the sprayer, as they kept calling it. He's getting his sprayer removed, and he's concerned about, are you guys being careful down there? It's a little cold. And then as soon as he exits the hangar where he's having this procedure done down there, he speaks in a false, initially his voice comes in, he has like this falsetto-y voice. And I was like, I was a bit surprised by the choice of humor. So it was one of those moments where I was like, okay, that's different. I don't know that we'd do that in the modern era now, this time, but
poor Christopher Plummer. Sorry. I said to put that. Christopher Plummer got top billing on Frozen Land. But
oh. But as a parent, I loved the messaging of the honorable competition. The way that at the end, when, throughout the whole thing, these planes, these competitors had been, win by any means possible. Why'd you save me? The British plane tells Dusty. But then at the end, they all come together, donate parts and that kind of thing to make sure that he's able to compete, because they want to all really, they want to find out who truly is the best. And
that's what got kind of I don't know. That's when I started getting weirded out. Like, oh man, I'm donating my kidney to you, man. Whatever.
It was an interesting concept. Here's my wing.
You need this more than me.
I don't use my kidney much anymore. I got another one here. You can have it.
You want my marrow? You can have my marrow.
It's an odd scenario, but they're planes, so we're overthinking. It was just a nice gift.
What came first, the planes or the gasoline? Also, who eats the crops they're dusting?
Oh, I had that question, and they answered it. It's for corn fuel.
Which came first, fuel or cars/planes?
When we first moved up here to the Bay Area, I can remember one of our trips down to Southern California. We drove by a crop that was being dusted, and the planes were coming and zooming down and low over the field a few times. And my thought was, oh, maybe that's how this happened. Somebody from Embryville was driving down to Anaheim one afternoon and spotted this event happening. And,
look up
I'd like to point out this ripoff somehow seemingly managed to rip off A Bug's Life and Ants at the exact same time.
Yeah.
2 for 1.
An Ant's life. Look up Homeward. That's the newest.
I wish Gideon was around, Doobie. My husband's sitting right here, but I wish Gideon was around so I could find out the name of that really, really awful one that we watched, where the plot was this car was trying to save his grandpa who'd been taken to the impound yard, and they were going to crush him. And he had to go. He was trying to save him. And I was like, this is really a horrifying plot device for this knockoff of cars. But yeah, it was a grandpa who had been taken to the yard. They were in a race against time.
That sounds almost as gruesome as the plot from the first Santa Claus movie, where like Santa Claus is trapped with these orphans, and he's like in their boiler, and Christmas is about to be canceled.
You said you think it's Cargo? Yeah, Car dash go or Cargo.
Go.
Yeah, I think that's what the name of the one that he showed us.
Oh yeah,
my son. Yeah.
I like how in this one they took the Tom Holland character and they put him in like a Spider-Man kind of outfit, like something Peter Parker would wear to kind of like just make sure you knew. Also, this is one of those movies where it might be better to not include the cast names in front of it.
When is this movie from?
Joey Lawrence and Tom Green star in Homeward.
This is the ripoff of Onward, and it came out in like May.
Wow.
Pop quiz, hot shot. What Disney animated movie did Joey Lawrence appear in?
Oliver and Company.
Okay, there you go.
Look up Cargo movie. And this surprisingly has Ed Asner, Melissa Joan Hart, and Haley Joel Osment in the voice cast.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. We watched. I feel like we watched like the first 15 or so minutes of it, and it was a fascinating journey. So my 11-year-old loves to find these really bizarre. Yeah.
The city on 4 wheels.
Dun, dun, dun.
As opposed to sitting on 2 wheels? Like, who cares?
Or a city on no wheels.
Not
unicycle. We're all on unicycles.
Some buildings in San Francisco are on wheels just because of earthquakes, but mostly no wheels.
I like how this one has Melissa Joan Hart, so she can get back with if this one ever combines with Homeward, they can recreate. What was that called?
Oh, that one ABC Family show. Melissa and
Joey.
I was gonna say, wasn't it just their names?
What was that show with Melissa and Joey called?
Just Melissa.
I think we need to do a movie club for Homeward.
I hope to never see Homeward.
No, we do. No, we don't.
It's on my bucket list of things I don't want to do before I die.
It's on my things I don't want to do. That's so good. When this film came out, did you kind of wonder if we'd see it appear a bit more in California Adventure?
Well, as part of they did an overlay to Soarin' with it. Not
They
a big one.
did?
Yeah, so they put Dusty on like the Condor Flats. I think it was still Condor Flats at the time, like billboard.
Yeah.
And then when he went to the pre-show, like he would pop up. Like it was like it was a very light touch.
I didn't remember him in the pre-show. I remembered the billboard, but I didn't remember.
Yeah, like when you're flying through the clouds. I've been that kind of year.
Sorry, we're from Bay Area.
When you're flying through the crowds, he would just like peek his head in. You could tell because it was like digitally remastered, the pre-show, which they didn't really do for the regular pre-show until they did the changeover. But that was like, I don't know.
So it's one of those things where I wonder sometimes if it would have been more popular, it might, maybe we'd have Dusty Crop Hopper's Diner instead of Taste Pilot's Grill or whatever it is now. It's Smoke Jumpers.
If they'd been really smart, they would have cast Patrick Warburton as like the safety guy who would come around and check all the planes before they fly, and then tell one of them, "Good job, little buddy."
That'd have been fun. I would love that nod.
Missed opportunity.
Nod. Yeah, totally.
Can I just tell you that now that we're approaching the 20th anniversary, I want to find the kid that's in that safety video and do like, where are they now?
Do you think the kid in that safety video now looks like the balding man who takes off his Mickey ears?
That'd be funny.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
Grew up to be that guy.
I just hope he stopped using the strap.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That could be very uncomfortable.
It is always fun. You see it more at Disney World than Disneyland. Somebody who doesn't speak English and didn't get the safety spiel and just saw in the video that you're supposed to loop through the yellow strap, and so you see adults like pushing it down between their legs to get it in there.
I did that once on purpose just to see what it was like.
I was gonna say I've seen plenty of adults think it'd be fun and discover otherwise.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yep.
Anything else we want to say about planes?
I'm just excited to find out what the Soul ripoff is going to be.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be called Spirit. Z.
Spirit
with a Z.
There
Because
you
they have
go.
Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron, so they can't just call it Spirit.
Oh, okay. Apparently, Tony remembers them painting planes on the pathway.
Maybe that one plane they might have actually.
The planesification of California Adventure.
Oh no! Whatever.
Yeah, I think that kind of sums up the fact that they did that overlay, and then even in this world where IP is king, they were like, "Nah, we're good." and then they removed it.
They removed it. We'll go back. We'll go back to just Grizzly to Condor Flats. Thank you.
Although I think the impact of Planes, Fire, and Rescue is that the story of Condor Flats became about fire safety and preparedness.
I would agree.
I mean, this franchise's impact on that park forever is undeniable.
I would also say that film was more interesting to my kid than this one. I think it had better toys. I think because the planes made siren noises and stuff like that. I think they were kind of more fun to play with because I remember those being around the house. Well, yeah, fire's always fun, but yeah.
So, that's planes, and we're actually going to heading into, I guess the end. The next one will be on the 30th. We're going to head into some fun times for the movie club because there's a lot of Disney Plus original films coming, plus some fun surprises that are popping up on the service. So we are going to go next Monday. We'll be here with Black Beauty, followed the following week by Godmothered, Safety, Big, and Soul. So there's a lot of fun movies we're going to watch. So don't forget to watch the movies before Monday. And we'll be here 7:30 next week with Black Beauty, which Alex's review went up. Do you want to give a little Cliff Notes version of that review?
I liked it. I really liked it.
What do you give it?
I give it 5 out of 5. What was my metric? Oh, horses with silly names like Winnie Legs.
Winnie Legs.
Is this based on the classic novel?
It's based on the novel. It's a modern update, but it's still very true to the main kind of story beats of the novel. And I would say the biggest change, other than it taking place in the present day, is they gender flipped the horse. So it's a female this time, and Kate Winslet is her voice. So it's all told in her first person. She's not a talking horse. It's just you. She's telling you her life, and you see it all unfold.
That was one of those those classic books. Oh, you guys are a decade young. When McDonald's, instead of Happy Meal toys, they used to give you books with your Happy Meals. And I remember Black Beauty and Tom Sawyer were my favorites that I got from McDonald's, and I must have read that Black Beauty book I can't tell you how many times. What was really cool was up in the upper corner, you could do the flip book thing. I think I'm not, every once in a while I like blend memories together, but I think I've got this straight, that it was my Black Beauty book, that I could flip the pages and you could see stuff jumping. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
I had illustrated classics, which were like abridged versions of books, and with basically for every page of text there was a picture.
Okay.
But I had Black Beauty, I had Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn and all those. So like probably by like age 8 or whatever, I was reading kind of the classics, but in a toned down version.
An abridged, heavily illustrated style. Yeah, these weren't like every page, but they were also, books that were like this big. So
yeah, and they came with a cheeseburger.
Yeah. Exactly. And at some point in my life, eventually McNuggets, but early on, just hamburgers or cheeseburgers. Yep.
So we will be back next week, 7:30, Black Beauty. Don't know who'll be here because it seems a little silly for Alex and I just to talk about Black Beauty. It's not probably the key demo, but
I liked it.
You did like it. 5 out of 5 Winnie Legs or whatever.
Winnie Legs.
I have to get you guys to tweet more that you guys are going to watch it, and remind people to watch it with you, so that you'll get more people joining in to comment and whatnot.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Anyway, see you next time. We won't be continuing your streak. I think our next live is with you, Rebecca.
Yes. It most likely is.
Tomorrow p.m.
Yep.
Barely Necessities. We may have a surprise one thrown in there just because
I've got nothing else going on. No, I'm just teasing. There's a lot going on. It was funny because you guys, I was wondering about this because you guys were a little bit later than I figured you'd be, and I was like, well, what will I do if they don't show up? And so I started to just like kind of look around and see, what can I talk about if they don't show up? Because I'm here, I might as well share a little something. But because there's so much, I can't. There's holiday merchandise, the images from Buena Vista Street, all the food offerings from Knott's Merry. Taste of Knott's Merry Farm Festival thing, whatever its name was. Universal. Jeremiah's at Universal tonight, and our Twitter's been full of images from Universal. So it's like there's just so much happening. It's and it's fun to talk about it and find out what people are thinking and questions they have and whatnot. So yeah. But tomorrow it'll be merchandise.
Merchandise.
Well, thank you so much for joining us once again. Next week, Black Beauty, 7:30, same bat time, same bat channel. And what's that? What's that look for?
Same bad time, same bad channel.
Bat.
Oh, as in
like
Batman. Like a
gotcha.
thing.
Were you not around in 1966 to watch the Batman? Disney's Batman series?
I first saw the Fox Adam West Batman movie after falling in love with the 1989 Tim Burton movie, and I remember getting it home and putting it in the tape and being like, this isn't Batman.
So every episode was a cliffhanger, and so they would go like, find out tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel.
And my experience, Alex, is reversed. I adored and loved Adam West, and then I was, what's this Burton thing? Who's that? That's not Batman. Where's the funny tale?
Alex, do you want to, as we wrap up, do you want to recreate one of our favorite Animaniacs jokes from episode 5 of the reboot?
Yes,
I'll be the tour guide. You be the tour
audience.
Okay, so Matt, picture it, Sicily. You're on the Warner Brothers lot, and you're in a tram getting a tour of the lot. And to the left, you'll see the soundstage where they shot Batman versus Superman.
Oh.
Oh, that's epic. Oh, okay. I still haven't.
Episode 5. Everyone watch episode 5 of Animaniacs. It is brilliant.
I still haven't gotten past the episode 1. I need to. There's so many I need to catch up on now.
Yeah.
If I wasn't doing all these YouTube streams.
Right. Well, Thanksgiving, it's here. We're slowing down a little bit before we ramp back up.
Yep. It's all good.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.